You and Chris are going to be in here talking about God knows what.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. How y'all doing?
What's kicking, chickens?
I know. Here we are, yet another episode, folks, of the Retro Show. Chris and Butch.
What's up?
Hey,
I'm
man.
Chris. That's Butch.
I'm Butch. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot, man.
You guys are falling behind. No free coffee tonight. Sorry.
No free.
You got to be on point.
Man.
No, you can get some free coffee. Yes, you can. Love the red dress.
Oh, we're just going to run that into the ground. I'm sorry, folks. We will never quit doing that.
Probably not.
All right?
She's not ever going to quit doing that either.
Yeah. Did you notice I got you a monitor over here?
I did. I like it, too.
You got to see what's going on. So
I don't know what you're going to do with that when Debbie's here. But
not have the monitor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Retro Show. The Retro Show is an homage to growing up when Chris and I did, which was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Actually, I guess we're still
growing.
We were still pooping in our pants in the 60s and some in the 80s, but we won't get into that.
It was an accident.
It was an accident. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find out all about this podcast at retroshow.net. Now, there we have links to all of the places you can subscribe to us, where you can watch and listen to the Retro Show podcast. And you can also access our store there, where we have a lot of merch for sale.
For all your Retro Show needs.
For all your Retro Show needs. That's exactly right. So, and of course, we have a phone number, too.
501-697-9933.
Thank you very much.
501-697-9933.
Yeah. In post, Chris, in the part where I edit this, I will actually put that number down there.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
High tech.
We do
Butch.
so cool stuff, man. Speaking of which, we got a text at that number from a guy that we both know, Mr. Kyle King.
Oh, really?
Who
Excellent.
has really enjoyed listening to the podcast. So Kyle grew up in our neighborhood with us, and solid family, man. Everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love his mom and dad, man. They were good people.
Yeah. Still are good people.
Oh, yeah, they still are good people. Hadn't been around them in a while, but I don't think they've turned to a life of crime. So, good
Lance
solid
is
people.
all right.
Yeah, Lance is all. Yeah.
Marcy's probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah, Marcy turned out better than all of you. Marcy's his baby sister.
Yep.
That we all grew up in the same neighborhood. But Kyle says that he really enjoys listening.
I'm glad he's
Kyle,
listening.
Thanks, dude. Man, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we kind of miss seeing your smiling face.
Yeah. But just to kind of touch on some things we've had lately, folks, we have, of course, made the transition to doing videos. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a subscribe. You'll see it down there in the corner as the video plays. If you subscribe to us, it really does help. And any place where you listen to us or watch us, give us a like.
Yeah, click the bell.
Yeah, click the button. Give us a like. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. And if you can, rate and review us, because that really, really does help. Which in a moment, we're going to be thanking all our producers. But all our producers that help support us each month for a mere $3 a month, thank you very much. So we're going to have more on that a little bit later. Topic of the show today, when we choose to start talking about it, we're kind of doing a history of the band Rush. Chris, did you hear that?
I did.
As all the women do.
Yeah. Click them. Click them. Click them.
Click them good. We'll do a Sean Cassidy episode with Debbie later. Maybe. Probably not.
Please,
but, there's that.
Shoot me now. Shoot me now.
Rush is kind of one of those bands where they are a polarizing band.
They are.
You either love Rush or you really don't like Rush. And it sometimes does. Although there's a lot of female Rush fans out there now.
No, there are more than there used to be.
More than they used to be, yeah. I think as time goes on, people kind of realize, oh, this stuff's really, really good.
Yeah.
Great
band.
Great band. We'll be talking about them a little bit later. Chris.
Yes.
Kick the podcast off, brother.
I will do that right now.
Now we're podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and let you guys know that Chris is going to be starring in an adult movie later on where he plays the part of the husband leaving the house for the day to go to work. I don't know if you knew that. Did I?
No,
did I let the cat out of the bag on that?
Evidently you did.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
I'm just playing the part of the husband leaving the house for the day.
Yeah. You're the husband going to work.
Excellent. I can handle
Excellent.
That won't get me in trouble.
That won't get you in trouble at all. Yep. Guys, we are going to go away for a little bit. We're going to let you guys listen to how you can be a producer on the podcast, which we greatly appreciate. And when we come back, we are going to be discussing the history of the band Rush.
Maybe.
Right here on The Retro Show.
These are the wonderful people who support The Retro Show with a monthly contribution of $3. LNC Corporation, Dusty Breeze, Kevin Goff, Norton, Chris B., Nancy Schwartz, Joshua Ramsey, Bran Adams, EM, Bradford Mason, Tonya Highland. Thank you to all of our fantastic supporters. Find out how you can support the podcast by heading to retroshow.net. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Retro Show. I am Butch Renfro along with my co-host,
Chris Curtis.
And we are kind of excited today to bring this one to you because we are huge fans of the band Rush.
Yes, most definitely.
And it's matter of fact, that's been
an homage to the band Rush.
And a little bit of a history lesson on Rush and kind of their rise to fame and kind of their ups and downs of their career.
They've been around a long time.
They've been around since 1968 in a suburb of Toronto. Now, I did not know this until I started researching today, that the final three in the band Rush, it was always a three-man band, always, which ended up being Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Neil Peart. They were not the original three. Only Alex was there from the beginning, and I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
I thought Alex and Geddy were the original founding members.
And they were actually high school friends.
Yeah,
but they did not start Rush together. But they'd known each other for a while. It's kind of an interesting story. If you've ever watched any, because there's some pretty good documentaries on Rush out there.
Yes, there are.
That they were the sons of Holocaust survivors.
Really?
Yeah, both of them.
That's awesome.
And so, all of their parents both survived the concentration camps in World War II and made it to Canada. And so, yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. A lot of good documentaries out there on Rush. There's a couple I can't think of the names right now. That I will show them on the screen here. If you're watching this now, there they are.
There was one on Netflix.
Yeah,
that's been the best one I've ever seen. Yeah, that was pretty good.
But I just think that's an interesting story of anybody who's the sons of immigrants or the kids of immigrants. They had a whole different experience, I think, growing up. Plus growing up, both of them being Jewish, that was probably a challenge as well. Coming over here, but it was actually in the town of Willowdale, outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and it was actually started by Alex Lifeson, and then they had a bass player named Jeff Jones and a drummer named John Rutsey. And in August 1968, Lifeson and Rutsey had been friends since they were kids, basically, and played together in a short-lived band called The Projection. Now, afterwards, they stuck together and brought in Jeff Jones to form a new group. Now, at their very first gig, they didn't have a name. And so right before the gig, Rutsey's brother, Bill, thought they needed a name that was short and to the point, and he suggested the name Rush. And that's where the name came from, is a guy named Bill Rutsey named Rush. And their first gig was in a youth center in the basement of the St. Theodore of Canterbury Anglican Church in Willowdale, Ontario, Canada. So,
And that's a lot.
and they got paid 25 Canadian for that gig. So
That was a lot of money in 68.
in 68, that was a good amount of money.
That was a good amount of money. That's for teenagers anyway.
I think about the first job I ever had. By the way, folks, this is what we call chasing a rabbit, and we do that from time to time. The first job where I ever looked at my paycheck and said, who the heck is FICA? And why do they want a lot of my money?
Yeah, they want a lot of it.
I worked for the princely sum for the Quapaw Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America at a summer camp in 1980.
Been there, done that.
For the princely sum of $100.
For the summer?
Yeah, before taxes.
Yeah.
For the summer. Yeah. And, I was child labor.
I think the first year that I worked up there, I got paid $750, I think.
Wow, they increased that a lot since then.
And then the next year, I was a commissioner, so
yeah, you got a little more.
I got a lot more.
You got a lot more.
Yep.
But anyway, back, enough about our income tax woes. Let's go back to the history of Rush. So after they played their first gig in 1968, Jones, the guy Jeff Jones, who was the bass player and singer, he was having trouble getting to Lifeson's house for practice. These guys were still in high school, so he had trouble getting there. And so Lifeson, who had a friend who knew a guy named Gary Weinrib, who was known as Getty, to step in on lead vocals and bass. And then, of course, his stage name became Geddy Lee later on. So early on, they basically did covers, like a lot of bands that started out at the time, because when you play, you do a lot of covers because that's what the people want to hear, at the time. So they were doing, things by Jimi Hendrix, John Mayall, Cream, a lot of the bands that were big at that time.
Thinking about that, I mean, this is kind of another rabbit hole, but that's some of my favorite bands to go see are the ones that have their own music, but then they do a cover of somebody else, and they kind of make it their own. Government Mule's one of those.
Government Mule. And what's the other band you like? You went to something not too long ago.
Which one? Elephant Revival?
Yeah, Elephant Revival. They do a lot of covers, too. You sent me one of them doing Have a Cigar by Pink Floyd.
And it's incredible.
Elephant Revival, so you guys check that out.
They do White Rabbit also.
Yeah. You played that for me.
Good.
Good stuff, folks.
Yep.
But they they were a three-piece a little bit later on, and for a while, they start touring, and they pick up this guy in town. Let me find his name here. So they get a manager. He comes around. His name is Ray Daniels that they hired to be their manager. And so for some reason, he talks Alex and John Rutsey, the drummer at the time, that, Geddy doesn't have the right look or he doesn't sound right or whatever, and they kick him out. Okay. And so Lee's out of the band. They hire a new guy named John, also plays bass and did the vocals, Joe Perna. Yep. And they renamed themselves Hadrian, and they had a terrible first gig with Perna. And so during this time, Lee had gone out and made his own little blues band and is doing great out there. So basically, they beg him. We're sorry.
We need you.
We were wrong. We suck. Will you come back? And thank goodness he did, because from then, that it was Lifeson and Lee, throughout the remainder of the band. They are touring the Ontario high school circuit. They're playing all of the dances, all of the homecomings or whatever they do up there in Ontario. And in 1971, something happened for them that helped them immensely. The country of Canada lowered their drinking age from 21 to 18, which means now these guys can play in bars. And from then on, they were a working band. They were playing 6 nights a week after Canada lowered the drinking age and these guys could play in bars. And so, everything's kind of cooking along pretty good. And Rutsey played his last gig with the band in 1974. I mean, they were together with Rutsey for a good long time, 5 years or 6 years.
Why did he leave?
Well, he had some health issues. He'd kind of realized, like a lot of these guys do, and this has also happened with other bands, with founding members, he kind of finds out that he kind of has a distaste for being out on the road. You got
a distaste for drinking every night. And
well,
playing in bars.
the thing is he couldn't do that because he had type 1 diabetes,
yeah.
which was also turning out to be an issue for him on the road. And I'm guessing back then they did not have the treatments for type 1 diabetes or any kind of diabetes then. I guess insulin, but some of the other things that you can do now for diabetes. But he had to do frequent hospital visits, so it was just too much for him to manage his diabetes on the road.
Right.
So he leaves, and so they have to. So they get a substitute drummer for a while to kind of fill things out, but they have to find someone permanent. And who they pick ends up being, they got the golden ticket, is what they did.
Pretty incredible.
Enter Neil Peart, who joined on July 29th, 1974, 2 weeks before their first U.S. tour. Okay, so Neil comes in. They performed their first concert together on August 14th at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, opening for Uriah Heep and Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
Wow.
To more than 11,000 people. And Peart... now here's the thing about Peart, and he is unique among, I think, drummers anywhere. He took over as the lyricist.
Really?
For the band. Neil Peart wrote all of the lyrics for Rush. He never sang a thing.
When you said lyricist,
he wrote.
That's pretty cool.
All of the lyrics now for the songs. Alex and Geddy would write the music part to go with the lyrics that Neil would come up with. And that's when things changed for him. Neil was a big-time reader. He loved to read just about everything out there. So his influences that he brought into the band were based a lot on what he was reading at the time.
A lot of Tolkien.
A lot of Tolkien
Yep.
was in there. A lot of Ayn Rand. So 1975 comes along, and their first album with Neil Peart writing lyrics is Fly By Night. Fly By Night.
It's absolutely one of my favorites, too.
It's a great album. It really is. Now, they had released an album before that had, what was that on there? That first Rush album.
Working Man?
Yeah.
Working Man. Yeah.
I think it was Working Man on that.
Yeah.
But no, Neil came in, and he has a love of fantasy and science fiction, so that heavily influenced a lot of stuff. So Fly By Night was the first album that they did with Neil, and then it was followed up in 1975 by Caress of Steel on there, which I don't think they had any singles really off of.
But they have one of my favorite songs by Rush on there.
Which is
Lakeside Park.
Yeah.
His own Caress of Steel. I like that song.
You like that song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the song that introduced me to Rush, is the next album that they released in 1976, and that's the album 2112.
It's incredible.
And we got to talk about 2112 a little bit, and the 76 Ford Granada and the 8-track player.
Yeah.
Because Chris and I would pop that 8-track into my car's 8-track player and play 2112. And the thing about having an 8-track is it would sometimes stop in the middle of the song, fade out, click over, and play the rest of the song. But 2112 is a musical piece that's basically 7 parts.
Yep.
And it covers about 21 minutes of time. So it's not a casual listen.
No, it's not, and it's impressive how they did that.
Yeah, 2112 is a great album to this day. I have never not had a copy of 2112 since about 82.
they stepped into a realm that not a lot of bands do, and that's like a theme album.
Yeah.
The whole album is one theme, and all the music is one theme, and it's telling one story.
Yeah, it tells a story.
Yeah. So the other bands that I can think of that have done that, Pink Floyd does that quite a bit, pretty much every album.
Well,
and,
you look at Pink Floyd Animals was based on George Orwell's Animal Farm.
yeah, but it was
A lot of
but
it.
it was set towards the music industry.
Yes.
They were talking about the music industry in that. The other one is Queensryche. Queensryche's another one that does theme albums. And
Yeah,
stuff,
they
so
did
it's pretty
Operation
cool.
Mindcrime in '80. It was a great album, which we will probably need to cover that album one
Yeah,
day.
I think so.
But
And I'd like to delve into. You guys like Pink Floyd?
you guys like Chris is a huge Pink Floyd fan. One thing we could talk about is just The Wall,
Absolutely.
because that's probably the best known Pink Floyd album out there. But
Well, I mean,
put it on the to-do list. Pink Floyd. We're going to talk about them at some point. But
right now we're talking about Rush,
Rush.
which is another one of our favorite bands.
yes.
So.
And so Rush toured 2112 between February 1976 and June of 1977. And they had concerts in Canada, U.S., and for the first time ever in Europe, touring that album. Let's see. It was released in September. Their first live album came in 76, and that's All the World's a Stage.
In 76?
All the World's a Stage was 76, I believe. Live album by Rush, 1976. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Nice. Very nice.
So-
hey, go ahead and choose another category, Butch. You get the square.
I'll take Paul Lynn for. Oh, that's amazing, isn't it?
That dude. Now this is a rabbit hole, but that dude was hilarious.
Paul Lynn on Hollywood Squares
Hilarious,
had the
man.
funniest stuff.
What's the main thing we get from Honduras?
You got it too.
And the thing about it was, man, is he was really trying to answer them correctly, but he
Yeah.
threw all these zingers in there.
He threw the zingers. He was one of the funniest guys there, and they always put him in center square. Back to Rush, ladies and gentlemen. So they toured 21.
let's talk about Paul Lynn some more.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So Rush tours 2112 between February 76 and June of 77. And they basically take it all over the world. And so now they kind of make a change from 77 to 81. They kind of have their peak progressive area, their progressive rock. They were heavily influenced by bands like Yes and King Crimson at this point.
Both those albums listed there, I like them.
Yeah.
But they're not. There's a few songs off of them,
Right.
that I really like. But
You really
as far
like
as-
2112. Yeah.
2112 is the capper.
Yeah,
It's
well,
the capper for me.
And the ones we're talking about was 77's Farewell to Kings,
Yeah, and
and then Hemispheres in 78.
Which I bought that for my brother for his birthday.
Yeah, which one?
Hemispheres.
Hemispheres, yeah.
I went down to the Sterling 5 and dime.
The Sterling 5 and dime.
Took
If you
my
remember that.
hard-earned money down there to buy my brother a birthday present, and that was Hemispheres.
Closer to the Heart came from Farewell to Kings.
Yeah. I said there was a couple of songs, but as far as the whole album goes,
Right.
I mean, it's not one you just throw on and listen to the whole album. For me,
Right.
I mean, if somebody out there may love Farewell to Kings, it may
Yeah.
be their favorite. I get it.
Yeah,
I
there's a
just-
couple of songs off all of these that are always,
Oh, excellent.
great
Yeah.
songs. In 80, it kind of comes out of the time that I really got into Rush of this era, besides 2112, and that'd be Permanent Waves, and we had the Spirit of Radio and Free Will.
That's
on
when
those
you got
albums.
into Rush?
No, well, that's when what I'm saying is that's the albums that were put out at that time that I liked a lot during that era.
I like both those songs.
I like both those albums. Permanent Waves. Spirit of Radio to me is just, you got to have that one in any Rush playlist. But their biggest album release, I think, to me, during that time was probably 81, and that was Moving Pictures.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Moving Pictures is one of those albums I can listen to front to back.
I agree with you 100%.
You know,
either one of those, Permanent Waves or Moving Pictures, I can listen to the whole album. I like both of those.
But Moving Pictures had Tom Sawyer, which is probably their best known song.
YYZ, Red.
Limelight. You know, just a really good one there.
I've always had a copy.
Yeah, I've always had a copy. That's the one that I always have.
2112 and Moving Pictures.
Yeah.
And Fly By Night. I've always had copies of those albums.
Always of those. Now, starting at about 82 and through the rest of the 80s, they kind of start going to more of a synthesizer.
But if you think about it, every major rock band did.
They did.
Including Van Halen.
Well,
what? Did somebody say
on
Van
one
Halen?
song.
What? More than one song, dude.
Okay. You talking about Roth era?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had I'll Wait and Jump, and that's the only two from Roth era.
Okay. What about In the Cradle Will Rock?
Dude, that's done. That's not a synthesizer. That's played through a synthesizer amp, but it's a guitar.
But it's a synthesizer.
No, it's not. It's a guitar played through.
Van Halen went synthesizer. Don't let him lie to you.
Are you going to argue with me about Van Halen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to bring receipts on here. You just wait, because I'm the one that edits this thing. Remember that? I'm the one that edits it. But anyway,
I know where you live, boy.
I know. I'll pee in your gas tank. Who you messing with? I won't really pee in his gas.
But I mean, you think about it. A lot of major rock bands did.
They did,
including Van Halen. They did, even if it was just two songs. They
Yeah,
still did it because that was kind of the sign of the times.
It was, but they did with, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying Alex Lifeson probably didn't like it a whole heck of a lot. But they had a synthesizer oriented, which started with Signals in '82. Signals has Subdivisions on there, which is still one of my favorite Rush songs. I really like that one. New World Man was also.
I like New World Man.
It's a good one. But yeah, they have a lot. But you know, Grace Under Pressure was the next release they did in '84, which you know and it was Neil Peart who named the album, and he took that from from an Ernest Hemingway words that was in it. It says basically, courage is grace under pressure, and so the name of the album is Grace Under Pressure. You know, but that was another great album release.
It was really good, and that's pretty much for a while. That's the last album I bought.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't get Power Windows, which came out in '85.
I didn't either.
That just, I don't know. There was nothing on there that I really liked. But Hold Your Fire in '87 had one song on there that I love to this day.
What was it?
It's Time Stands Still.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a duet with a singer named Amy Mann.
Oh, yeah, from Till Tuesday.
From Till Tuesday.
Yeah.
Remember Voices, Carrie?
Oh, yes, I do.
So Time Stands Still.
I had a little bit of a crush on Amy Mann.
Amy Mann's a phenomenal singer.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Nice looking chick, too.
Yeah, she had a cool look in the 80s.
She had a cool look. She
had a really cool look, didn't she? You know, with the spiky hair and all of that.
Yeah. And the rat tail hanging off the back.
Yeah, and the little rat tail. Yeah. And then their third live album, they released in '89, which is Show of Hands.
Not be confused with All the World's Stage, which came out in '76, by the way. I don't know if y'all knew that or not.
Yeah.
It came
And did you know the second one was Exit Stage Left that came out in '82? I don't know if we mentioned that or not. So, Rush, then from '89 to 2000, so for a couple of years, they released Presto.
Now, this one I did buy.
Yeah, because they went back to more of a guitar rock sound. It sounded, to me, it sounded like the progression from Moving Pictures to Presto.
Yes.
Like that would have been a more natural. And then it's like, that was like the successor to me to Moving Pictures because it was more of a guitar-based album.
Everybody cut their hair, too, man. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Well, they did that in the 80s.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
in the
cut their
80s.
hair.
With the synthesizer era,
Yeah, but Roll the Bones, that was
was a great
that's
tune.
a great tune, and really like that one. But they did Test for Echo in '96. That was an album that came out then. It was continued that kind of guitar based thing. Now, at the
Are you familiar with that album?
I listened to it. God, I bet it's been 20 years since I've heard Test for Echo.
I probably need to go back and do some research.
Yeah, I probably need to look at that. There may be some. We may listen and they go, "Holy cow, that's great."
What the hell were we thinking?
Neil Peart, though, the band did hit a hiatus. Neil Peart lost his daughter to a car crash in 1997. His daughter Selena in August of '97. And then just 1 year later in June, not even quite a year later, his wife Jacqueline died of cancer. Yep. And basically at the funeral, he tells Geddy and Alex, consider me retired. So
he got on a motorcycle. And drove to as far as he could drive south.
He basically went from Canada through the U.S.
through Cape Horn. Is that what it is?
He went all the way through Central South America down to the bottom of South America. Yep. Getting his head clear. I can't imagine. That's he's been through some stuff. He had a book called Ghost Rider that he wrote about those travels too, that I need to read.
Yeah, I need to read that too.
That's one of those that I saw that it would be, something I'd be interested in.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Not that this matters to any of our listeners. It may not. There's a new Joe Ledger book out.
Joe Ledger book, yeah.
And it's narrated by Ray Porter. I'm just letting you know.
Just letting you know.
I'm letting you know.
Oh, letting me know.
Yeah, it's another one of those conglomerates from different Unstoppable.
I've already heard it.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it yet.
I get those as soon as they come out. Guys, just letting you know, Jonathan Mabry, Chris and I are fans of a series with a character named Joe Ledger. Good fun read.
They are
on those.
Awesome.
So 2001.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. So in 2001, Neil is ready. He's got his head cleared. He's taken his big road trip. He's done his grieving, and he decides, Neil does, that it's time to get back together. And I thought it was really cool that Geddy and Alex just basically let him do his thing for 5 years.
Man, what do you do?
What do you do? To me, that's real brotherhood in a band.
Right.
That is a commitment that, this band is, you and us, and it's not us and somebody else.
Right.
And so Neil comes back, and they have a new album called Vapor Trails that they released. It doesn't include the first Rush studio recording, not to include any keyboards or synthesizers. It's just them jamming. Man, Vapor Trails is a rockin' album. So,
at some point in there, from the documentary that I watched on him, he really delved off into other genres of drumming.
Yes.
And was getting lessons from different big time.
One of the greatest drummers of all time, going out and getting lessons. And he talked about that in that documentary, that he changed the style of how he held his sticks and everything.
Yep.
Which to me is like, he
said something to the effect, what am I going to do, be 80 years old still playing Rush songs? No.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
No. But, I mean, that's what he said.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. I can't keep up with this.
Right.
Forever.
Well, the thing is, it was physically taxing.
Right.
Well, you got to look at the guy's drum set, too.
Unbelievable.
Guys, go on and look at Rush concert videos, and you can't see him because he is surrounded
by percussion.
By percussion of different types.
Dude, honest to God, if you have never seen him play the drums, do yourself a favor, do what Butch said, go on YouTube and find some video of him playing. When we saw him, I never took my eyes off of him the whole time.
It's amazing.
Incredible.
Just watching the guy. I mean,
incredible.
And so from 2009, Clockwork or Time Machine tour, and then they were what year was Clockwork Angels? I believe Clockwork Angels
2013.
were 2013.
Yep.
Yeah, and so now I want to get to the point in 2015 because this is our story. This is our latest Rush story that comes into play here. Okay, with you, me,
Yep.
the Clegg brothers, and my brother Todd.
Yep.
Okay, in September, the R40, the Rush 40 box set, was announced to commemorate their 40th year
Yep.
of touring together and being together. And we got to watch the kickoff of the tour, the first concert
Yep.
of the R40 tour in Tulsa, Oklahoma on May 8th of 2015.
It was
It was incredible. I look at that concert highlights, and we've seen a lot of concerts together.
It's at the top.
It's in the top 3 easy
Yeah, absolutely.
of concerts I've
Guys,
seen.
they had no opening act, and they played for 3.5 hours.
They did.
And
And
it was
the
incredible.
cool thing was how they did it, where they started off with their newest release
Yep, and went backwards.
and went backwards through their catalog.
Every time they changed an album, the stage completely changed.
Yeah.
They would change the whole stage.
Yeah.
And the last set was the 3 of them in front of a velvet curtain, and Neil Peart's drum kit was like three toms,
Yeah.
a snare. And
Yeah,
it was nothing.
they would pare down
Yep,
the stage as they went on to the instrumentation I guess they had when they were doing
you're right.
those
it was
albums.
Really, really a great.
But it was great, and I'm
concert.
so glad because we didn't know that it was going to be the last time.
How
that we-
could you know?
And we just got to see them, because a lot of bands have announced final tours.
Yeah.
Kiss,
Kiss like 12 times.
Motley Crue,
Which
But-
to my fellow Kiss Army member, you know who you are. I'd see them again if they announced they were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what I thought was really cool about that concert though was just the fact is like you mentioned on a previous podcast that there were people all over the world
Yes, and that was cool.
because it was the first show of their final tour.
No, it was more so at Iron Maiden
Yeah, that's
than
true.
it was Rush, but there were still people from all over the world at this concert also.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
a great place to see a concert. For
It
all
is.
you people that are local, we're basically in Central Arkansas.
It's a 4-hour.
It's a
road
4-hour drive to Tulsa and BOK Center. That's a pretty good place to see
trip.
a
It's good.
show.
Yep.
Highly recommend it.
But sadly, on January 7th, 2020, Neil Peart died at the age of 67 after a 3.5-year battle with glioblastoma, brain cancer. So now there have been talks recently that you and I have seen on the news of Alex and Getty getting together to play music again. But my thing is who you going to get to drum for you?
Man, there's some people
You
out there
know.
that can cover him.
You
There
know,
are. They can't.
They could
do
cover
everything
for
he's
him.
doing, but they can't. They couldn't do everything he did. But
they could cover for him.
They could cover enough to play the music.
You and I, we actually were in a texting conversation about this with a bunch of our friends about who would we get to drum, and a lot of names have been tossed out there. And somewhere I was like someone mentioned Tommy Lee. I was like, Tommy Lee couldn't touch him.
Nope.
Could not touch him.
I'll tell you, man. There's a girl on YouTube named Metal Cohen. Have you ever seen her?
No.
She could probably pull it off.
She could pull it off?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's pretty good.
Dave Grohl could probably pull it off.
Probably.
But it would have to be, it has to be a drummer who could do it
Not
justice.
a drummer, a percussionist.
You are absolutely correct.
But that dude played everything.
Yeah.
And,
Anything
and
you
did
could
it well.
you could hit with a stick or your hand,
He
dude played.
Yep. Incredible guy. I mean, just
Great talent.
He was not a an ass. He just did not like to be the center of attention.
Well, he wrote songs about it.
You know,
Limelight.
Right.
That song, Limelight, I Can't Pretend a Stranger, is a long-awaited friend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And that's a line from Limelight, by the way.
Yep.
But I mean, he
didn't do. But I'll tell you this, man. One of my really best friends in the world, who's no longer with us, but he actually got to talk to Neil Peart on the phone. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. Really cool. The bus driver for Rush was an acquaintance, and they were on the tour bus, and he got to talk to Neil Peart on the phone. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. But anyway, folks, that is our little quick history of Rush. Now, I just wanted to talk to you maybe a little bit at the end here before we sign off. Just off the top of your head, I'm putting you on the spot.
Me?
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
Thought you were putting them on the spot.
Favorite Rush album?
2112.
2112.
Absolutely. Fly By Night, very much close second.
Yeah.
I like Fly By Night a lot. But that being said, there's a lot of songs that I really, really like.
Okay,
Spirit
favorite
of Radio-
Rush song?
It's probably Spirit of Radio.
Spirit of Radio.
I just fixing to mention it.
Yeah.
But it probably is. I mean, there's some drum licks in there that I really, really dig that he does.
Yeah.
In that song, and I like the lyrics of that song.
I do too.
The lyrics of that song, if you really listen to the lyrics, it's just talking about the
corporate radio.
The radio.
Yeah. You know? And what it was going to come. That is, tell you a little story about Spirit of Radio.
Butch, tell me a story.
Let me tell you a story. So, a friend of you met him. His air name was Donnie John, but his name's Don Ragland.
Yeah.
Don hired me in my first full-time radio job
In Hot Springs?
in Hot Springs at KLAZ Radio.
Adam Blade.
Adam Blade. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Blade. And the cool thing about it is it was going to be a top 40 radio station.
Yeah.
Okay, it was going to be playing basically top 40 hits. But when we started that thing off at 6 a.m. on June 1st, 1986, he played Spirit of Radio as the first song on there.
That's awesome.
Because Don was a huge Rush fan. Donnie, if you're listening, man, I miss you. I want to talk to you again. We need to talk with him. We need to get him on the show. That'd be
cool.
fun. But
He would know a lot.
he would not, listen. He's
I'll
been
tell you somebody else we need to get on here, man. That's Fedoli.
Jimmy Fedoli would be a good addition to this. You're absolutely right. Just to talk about old songs and stuff like that.
That dude's an encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia Brown.
Well,
But yeah, the whole Rush catalog to me is impressive. But my favorite era is probably from 2112 through I'll say moving pictures.
I knew you were going to say moving pictures. That's what everybody says. I mean,
That era-
and it is, but because it is what it is.
Because that era, and plus, we were in our formative music stages at
right.
that time too. And I remember the first time I heard Tom Sawyer and was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" And I played it. Magic 105 was a radio station we had here that played a lot of good music back then, and they would play that. They'd play Limelight, and
They played a lot of good music.
they played a lot of good music.
So, your favorite band of all time did go the synthesizer route, but my band never did.
Which band?
ZZ Top.
ZZ Top never did. Well,
No, they didn't.
Eliminator.
No,
Okay. All right.
absolutely not.
Okay.
I didn't mind synthesizer, man, but they never did. They didn't need it.
Yeah.
That little old band from Texas.
Little old band from Texas. Still one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Absolutely, I agree.
It
And
was that little old band from Texas.
that was me and you, Newhoffel, who else?
Joe
Joe
Thrash.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We went to,
We
it
went-
was hot.
It was hot. We went to the front, though, man. That was pretty cool.
It was about 157 degrees out there with a bunch of stinking rednecks. And whew. But
down
it
on
was
the river, but man, it was
down
good.
on the river. But that was a fantastic show.
That is absolutely.
So
So we're talking about Rush.
Yeah. It was the first time you saw Rush. When was it?
2015.
First time you saw
I
Rush?
didn't get to see Rush before that.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I got to see him on the Exit Stage Left tour in '82.
Mm-hmm.
Went with who was going to be my future brother-in-laws. And
There was some reason that I didn't make that concert, and I think I was grounded. I think.
that is shocking to me, Chris, that Jay would.
I don't think it
I
was
can't
Jay.
imagine with the
I don't think it was Jay.
young man that you were, that Linda,
Yeah.
the LNC Corporation, would have grounded you.
Yeah.
I am shocked. I am shocked, Chris.
That was a bad boy.
I know.
Well, I mean, I can't remember if that's what it was, but I think it was.
Yeah.
I think
but
I got in trouble.
okay, so here's what I was ticked off about that concert. Is before then, most concert tickets were $6 to $8
Right.
in price. That one was $12.50. And I almost didn't go.
Kiss at the bar.
Oh, it was
In
Kiss
79.
that did that?
Kiss in 79.
But,
$12.
yeah.
Outrageous. Outrageous.
Outrageous. But yes, the first time I got to see
Now, you
Rush.
can't get a damn Big Mac meal for $12.
I know. But it was August. It was no, it was April of 1982 that I got to see him. So yeah, it's the first time I got to see him. The next time I got to see him was with you and me in 2015.
Guess who else I've never seen?
Who's that?
Pink Floyd.
Well, yeah,
Guess who else I'm probably not ever going to get to see?
Pink Floyd. Oh, folks, listen. We thank you for indulging us for talking about one of our favorite bands.
Yeah.
Ever. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Ladies, come back, and we'll have Debbie talk about Leif Garrett or something.
The Bee Gees.
Probably not. Probably not. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more about the podcast, you can do so at retroshow.net. You can also get a hold of us at that phone number, Chris.
501-697-9933.
That's 501-697-9933.
That's right.
And you can send us a
Thank
text
you very
or
much.
call and leave us a voicemail. Whatever you'd like to do. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you listening. Invite you back next time.
Absolutely. Please come back. Hey,
All right.
like and subscribe, guys.
Like and subscribe.
Yep.
Have your mom do it. That's right. I'm talking about your mama in a good way. Love you guys. Take care.
AMF, guys.